I'll let you know every time I use my garbage can. I've never met anyone that said oh good, an HOA. We all have trash cans, but the sight of them offends the delicate eyes of some, so I complied with the new rule of no seeing bins from the street. I find a notice of my bins being out, which is surprising because I'm the only one who touches the cans and I know I'm 100% compliant. I call in and ask why I got the notice. The full description says bins in driveway with lids off. I asked if this happened to be a Tuesday, and sure enough it was. Wednesday is pickup, and I was doing my weekly cleaning. I was ducking using them. I calmly explained through gritted teeth. Oh, okay, I'll remove the notice. Great, but how do I prevent this from happening again? Oh, I guess notify us. Alright, I said, I'll notify you every time I'm using my trash cans. Oh, that won't be necessary. Clearly it is. That was 5 Tuesdays ago. Today, I once again called promptly at 10 o'clock and let Alan know I was about to use my trash cans. You know what, Mr. Endoman? I'm just going to put a hold on any trash can notices for you. Hey, that would be swell, Alan. That would be swell.
Now to the comments. I got a trash can ticket in the mail. The photo showed me actively pulling weeds and the trash can was rolled over by me where I was throwing weeds away. Gotta love HOAs.
I'm surprised they didn't attach a second fine for having weeds in your yard.
And a third for throwing them in the trash instead of the yard waste bin. Wait, you called him at 10 every Tuesday for 6 weeks straight.
Gotta be compliant.
Wouldn't want to disrespect the rules of the HOA. They're such a great service, of course you have to follow their instructions as they want them. R/Duckhoa might like this too.
I think my blood pressure needs that link to stay blue.
I've been in for over an hour. You're right. Today, I once again called promptly at 10 o'clock and let Alan know I was about to use my trash cans. You know what, Mr. Endoman? I'm just going to put a hold on any trash can notices for you. Hey, that would be swell, Alan. Why call so late? I would have called on my way into the office of 5:30 a.m. Next Tuesday, you should call him again, not to inform him that you're once again using your bins, but just to confirm that he did indeed put a hold on the trash can notices. Just to be sure.
That's really funny. But I can't help but feel that antagonizing someone who conceded defeat isn't very productive.
I work for a company that manages HOAs. I totally get people like this and am always super polite because I would do the exact same, but I am literally the messenger. The board calls/emails me to have me send a letter and I have to do it. I even point out things like, hey guys, it's their trash day, they can be out, but if the board says send it anyway then I have to. It freaking sucks. To get back at the board a bit, I have been telling people to attend the meetings and voice their complaints. It's gotten a couple boards to calm their shit with the letters. As a side note, I have to answer a certain number of calls and it's monitored, so I wouldn't mind knowing I am guaranteed that one call on Tuesdays. Moved to a new city and first time renting a house with an HOA. They said we had to order garbage and get that set up prior to moving in, so we did. The garbage company dropped the bins off in the back alley and we had a week or something before we got our stuff moved. Then later received a $75 fine from HOA for leaving bins out, when we hadn't even moved in yet. Got it waived though, but F them.
I had that happen with a job once. Logbook violation for the month before I started working. They wouldn't waive it. Ended up just refusing to comply with the punishment, mandatory logbook training classes, and probably got a black mark on my driving record, but they eventually gave up trying to force me off the road to take that class.
I once received a warning letter from my HOA that the blades of grass on my lawn were above the allowable for maximum length. That was the day I wished I had the superpower of being able to mail an outgoing punch to someone's face. My lawn was green and weed-free, but the line was drawn at the height of grass blades. Sometimes I want to skip a week of mowing. Duck me for taking a weekend off. The HOA before that. My dogs were barking too loudly at night. They never responded to my reply email that I don't own dogs or pets of any kind. One of my neighbors manifested invisible dogs and placed them onto my property and blamed me for my inability to control their natural behavior. That was the day I wish I had the superpower of being able to punch a neighbor through drywall.
One of my neighbors manifested invisible dogs and placed them onto my property and blamed me for my inability to control their natural behavior. Ooh, cool, I've always wanted some invisible doggos. Can you hook me up with that neighbor? Those invisible pinkos from DOOM2 springs to mind.
I don't live in an HOA, and I honestly don't think I've ever heard a single thing that makes them sound like a good idea. Why do people do this again?
My brother has an HOA. He pays like $60 a year. It's for the pool. That's it. No busybodies. No rules saying you can't dry your laundry outside. No fences around trash cans. No one taking pictures. For what it's worth, in 8 years, he's never used the pool.
Our neighbors are in an HOA. They have rules and regulations, dues, and meetings. No one goes to the meetings, so it's just the board every month. Very few the dues, so the snow doesn't get plowed from in front of their home. But the neighbor is a really nice guy. I asked if we can get the snowplow guy to continue on to the end of our street. Yes, the HOA ends in the middle of the street. It covers 6 of the 10 homes on this street. He is the president of the HOA. He asked the plow guy. Plow guy agreed, for $20 per home, per season. It's the best $20 I ever spent. We aren't snowed in anymore, and he gets to push the snow to the dead end. I posted this before, but I was at a buddy's until around 10 p.m. on night. I left, but I was back pretty earlier the next morning. Someone assumed my truck was parked in the driveway overnight. He got a shitty warning letter. It seems to give some of those board members joy to be petty.
Your friend can't have overnight visitors?
No cars overnight in the driveway. LOL. At my old place growing up, my dad was in charge of maintenance, managed a few guys to do repairs, pool equipment, etc. Installed the roofs, did pavement, painted the whole place, etc. Anytime people wanted full remodels, my dad would usually get his crew in there at really good prices. It was a great place to train up his workers and be able to keep an eye on their work basically from home. People were complaining they felt he was paid too much and it was costing them too much, so they eventually decided to switch to a property management company and wanted to cut his pay, etc. He quit, letting them figure things out for themselves. He is the type that if he isn't the boss and in direct charge of the projects, then forget it. The crews they were making him use instead of his own were complete idiots. They very quickly learned just how much they were saving by my dad having been in charge and using his own crews. Without him, they were hit with $1 million plus assessment to replace roofs in the other half of the complex, for the other roads needing done, pool services, and retaining wall repairs, etc. They then begged to get him back, but he had already been planning to move and this place was really just a side job of convenience for a free house. Obviously, he declined. Every so often we get jobs in the area and the place has completely fallen apart. Pool is neglected and not operational, roads still aren't done. Years later, they had to abandon and tear down tennis courts because it turns out people usually charge a ton to redo big retaining walls, etc. The only buildings in good condition are the ones his crews had completed before we left many years ago. Very sad honestly, because a handful of HOA bad decision really ducked over so many people. Make him give you a written declaration that you'll no longer be getting those fines. Notarized. Then share it with the rest of the membership, ideally right before an election, or a request to amend the bylaws to remove all stupid fines. That is ducking hysterical. HOAs are run by people who couldn't qualify running for local government. I had bought a bunch of unimproved lots back in 2010 when a developer had gone under. The lots had not been cleared and the neighborhood itself was only built at about 20%. I came home to letters from the HOA stating that one or several of my properties had unapproved foliage on them and that it needed to be removed. I called and there was not a single logical person in that entire office. Apparently, naturally growing plants in unimproved land needed to be removed since they were not approved. I never did it. They made threats with their fines and said they would take out liens on the property. They never did. I sold the properties years later and swore I would never live in a neighborhood with an HOA.